Honorable Speaker, first I want to thank and congratulate the MP for Ruiru for his robust legislation. The Honorable Kingara has brought several pieces of legislation into this House. And I remember when we came in the 12th Parliament, one of the motions to be debated from a fresh member was Kingara's motion. And I want to thank him. But on this bill, I think we already have legislation that is sufficient, that covers the subject matter that this bill tries to introduce. And looking at the issues and reading the report from the Departmental Committee on Transport, my thinking is that probably the Honorable Kingara needs to relook at this legislation so that we do not double legislate. There is the issue of regional registration of motor vehicles. And I think that report, it has been highlighted by my able friend Nikal. I think that also has been deliberated in the report, the issue of regional registration. And I think the Vice Chair, when he was presenting the report, made it very clear that it's a form of discrimination of some kind, that registration of motor vehicles, two-wheelers, three-wheelers need to be done at the national level and not at local level. And I think it was adequately covered in the report. And if you look at the issues raised, yes, we have a problem within the bodaboda sector, and that is a fact. It needs proper regulation. It needs discipline. It requires that it is properly regulated. That is a fact, and that must be done. Today, a lot of the hospitals that we have in this country have wards specifically for people who have been injured through bodaboda accidents. We are losing very many lives. We are spending colossal amounts of money in terms of health care because of accidents caused by the bodaboda. And these are facts. But where is the problem, even though we already have a law? The problem is in enforcement. That is where the problem is, enforcement. And I would like the Committee on Transport to take this matter, summon the people who are in charge with enforcing the law, and ask them these questions: why aren't you enforcing the law? Why do we have many problems within the bodaboda sector? Because there's an Inspector General. There is the base commander. There are base commanders in every county who are supposed to enforce law. But if you go to some of these places, you find that the base commanders and the traffic units that we have are more interested in what the bodaboda rider gives them more than what the bodaboda rider is doing on the road. And that is where the problem is. So the spirit with which Kingara is bringing this law is correct, because he has seen a gap. But this gap is not caused because there's no law. The gap is caused because enforcers are not doing their job. So, Honorable GK and the Chief Justice here, you need actually, on your own motion, without necessarily having to have somebody present a petition here or request for a statement, on your own motion as a committee, you may need to summon the enforcers of this matter so that we reduce these accidents. These accidents are too many. We had a member of parliament the other day who lost his life because of a bodaboda. This we know, but how many other people? How many other people? Mama Mboga selling boga on the pavement of a road, and a bodaboda comes and runs over them and kills all of them. How many other people that two children going to school are carried by a bodaboda? Two children. There's an incident in my constituency where three children of the same mother were being carried on one bodaboda. And those children never reached school. They died on the road. All of them, three of them. That's a tragedy for a family. Just because this bodaboda was not able to use his lights properly, you know? And he turned left before he had put on the lights to show that he's turning left. And this vehicle came and rammed over this bodaboda. Three children from the same mother died on the same day. And if you ask, this guy had just passed a traffic station, you know, where the roadblock, he just passed a traffic roadblock. And this traffic police never bothered what this guy was doing on the road. He was just bothered about what this rider would give him. These are the issues that we are talking about in the bodaboda sector. How are they regulated? How are they licensed? Anybody these days who can ride a bodaboda just rides, whether he has a license or not, whether he knows traffic rules or not, whether he knows the road rules or not, he will just pick a bodaboda and ride and carry passengers. And yet, we have traffic enforcers on the road, and they don't look at this. I have never seen a situation where a bodaboda has been stopped at a roadblock and he's asked for a license. They never ask them for licenses. They never do that. They only ask, umenibebea ile kitu yangu. And that's what matters. That's what matters. Yes, and when they're given whatever they should have been carried for, they let the bodabodas. A lot of the bodabodas on the road, if the officers were actually enforcing the rules, every bodaboda would have gone to at least a driving school, gotten some a license, some basic knowledge on road use. People think that as long as you can ride a bodaboda, you know the road rules. And that is where the problem, Madam Speaker. So I would like to urge my friend, we served with him in the Lands Committee, a very effective legislator, Honorable Kingara, to, instead of allowing this bill to continue to a situation where it actually loses in this, why doesn't he withdraw it? Instead of allowing this bill to go to third reading and it is knocked down there and it has the indignity of one of those bills that was knocked off at the floor of the House. It's actually an indignity when your bill gets knocked off on the floor of the House. Why doesn't he withdraw it and sits with the committee and they look at the gaps, then reintroduce it to the House so that he can go on record as one of those persons that actually had a bill passed, as one of those members that had a bill passed and assented by the President from the 13th Parliament. That would be my advice. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Member for Kilifi North.